With all this technology raining down, your school may be thinking, hey, we should go BYOT. But what does that mean for you as a teacher? BYOT is a lot more than letting students bring devices to school. This is BYOT in plain English. What is BYOT? Well, it's putting a device in a student's hand to go beyond consuming information and into communication and creation. But before we get into that, let's take a look at Mrs. A's classroom. She's excited about the school becoming BYOT and has a lot of great ideas to try out. But before she gets started, she needs to establish clear expectations. For instance, while Mrs. A is talking, are students allowed to be using their devices? If the expectations are not made clear, things can get messy. Well, really fast. So instead, Mrs. A uses a few callouts. When she says technology down, the students know exactly what to do. She needed to be very specific, so she explained, that means place your device in the top right corner of your desk, hands down, and eyes on me. Now she can address the class. With clear, observable expectations, if a student isn't complying, she can easily correct the issue and carry on the class without distractions. Now, technology isn't needed in every lesson, so if she says technology away, the students are expected to put their devices back in their backpacks. These may need to be adjusted for your class, but make your expectations clear, so you're not running around the classroom correcting students, which would ultimately make you frustrated. Now let's come back to the ways students will be using the devices. A good idea is to push past consumption and into communication and creation. What do I mean? Well, students are smart, and if you're going to throw a device in their hands, only to have them watch online tutorials and be a textbook replacement, they'll get bored fast. That's why we need to push them past consuming information. Establish a line of communication. Take Mrs. A. She uses an LMS called Edmodo, which is cloud-based, to communicate with her students. When students turn in their work, they post it to Edmodo, and Mrs. A gets it immediately. Students can even communicate with each other, all on the same platform. Also, when Mrs. A needs to push an assignment out, she pushes it to the cloud, and everyone gets it. This keeps Mrs. A from feeling, well, flooded from thousands of emails in her inbox. Before getting into creation, let's talk about the classroom structure. This is the traditional setup: teacher lecturing, students passively listening. Now, lectures aren't all bad, but when you try to keep the lecture the same and simply throw in devices, that's an equation for disaster. Because with devices, things can get out of hand, which would ultimately make you frustrated. But with devices, the structure can change. Now, think about how you can group kids up. Your role changes, where now you can check in on them while they take the responsibility of owning their learning. Give them well-structured assignments, along with some accountability to show their learning. Keep in mind, independence doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But if our ultimate goal is for the success of our students, we need to prepare them to be lifelong learners. That brings us to using devices to push for creation. Let's be honest, we all like to create. Whether you're an artist, a musician, or in the labor force, we like to show our work, and students are no different. But if we just give them a device to watch tutorials, it's equivalent to giving them a textbook that lights up. They'll get bored. Also, if we try to hold on to that traditional structure of the classroom and simply throw in devices, we're really just putting a band-aid on the real problem. Instead, think about how students can show their knowledge. They can make their own tutorial videos, or create a stop-motion video to highlight a concept. What about a movie trailer about a famous author's life? Or for the musically inclined, compose a song inspired by a reading. Really, the possibilities are endless. And best of all, you don't have to be the ultimate expert. Let your students bring their own ideas to show their learning. How you end up developing your ideas will depend on your classroom. But make sure you put the student in the driver's seat to take ownership. Also, think about how to leverage a device to break up the current structure of the class and use more groups. Technology can be used in a way to get our students more active in the classroom. And who knows, maybe one day your student will make BYOT in Plain English, Part 2.